going to do another video where I can recommend vehicles for you if you're in the search for a quality and reliable used vehicle. And then I can also tell you those from the same make and model to run far away from as fast as you can. Today we're going to cover Hondas. I've owned a couple. I own one now. I just picked one up, and they are the second most reliable manufacturer in my opinion. And again, all of these videos, and I have a group of these videos out now. All of these are my experience, my opinion from my experience owning these cars, working on them. We get a ton of these in the shop, going out to auctions, seeing the shape they're in, seeing the mileage that they have on them, seeing how they're maintained. I have a lot of angles that I can come at when it comes to these subjects, and then relay information from them to you so you don't make a bad buy, a bad decision, a decision you may regret. So let's get into this Honda video. Vehicles, the smaller Hondas, and then work our way up heavier and heavier. So we'll start with Honda Civic. How about that? So with Honda Civic, the 07 through 2011 Honda Civic are the ones that I would recommend if you are looking for one. They look great. Their fuel economy is incredible. They are reliable. There's going to be a common theme throughout all of these categories here throughout the Honda video. And their drawbacks are all going to include transmission problems. That is their Achilles heel. That is their weakness. So I'm going to be mentioning that a lot throughout the video. Some years they made a lot of improvements with the transmission, and I'll tell you where they made those transmissions when I can remember to do so. But that is going to be the biggest problem, their transmissions. I see a lot of these at the auctions, and they have 200, 250, 300, 325,000 miles on them, and they are at an auction. They were driven there. They are ready to go for another 50, 75, 100,000 miles. Some of them maintained and some of them not. That's why you have to go in person to, look at these vehicles. If you are in the market to buy one, look at them closely. Check the oil, look for maintenance records, look for signs of maintenance like I always tell you to do. Stickers on the top left windshield, stickers or handwriting from a mechanic under the hood somewhere. Check the oil, physically check the oil and all fluids, and put a lot of homework and due diligence into the vehicle you want to buy, and you won't be left in the dirt and one that gives you plenty of problems. They are easy to maintain. The Civics are easy to work on and easy for you to maintain every single fluid, every single maintenance point that you can. You can turn into a DIY project. That's how easy they are to work on. If you don't want to, every single mechanic out there should be able to accept and work on a Honda Civic. And if they don't, I wouldn't take any vehicles there anyways, because they are easy to work on. Parts are, what's the word? The word I could use is plentiful. Parts for those are everywhere, and they're for a decent price, and they will stay for a decent price until we get into the years where the parts are getting harder to find. So yes, the Honda Civic 07 through 2011 would be my recommendation. What I don't recommend is the 06 in particular Honda Civic. They seem to have the most issues and documented issues, more with the transmissions, and in that year they were hard to find because so many failed, and it's $4,000 to $6,000 to replace them. It's not cheap, and they're, because in such high demand, not the easiest to find, and you may have to get in line to find one. They also had brake issues that were popular in that year. And also interior quality materials was junk, and then the paint also had a tendency to fade and start to peel, especially with the lighter colors, and particular white. So that will take care of the lighter vehicles, which really points to the Honda Civic. Now we'll get into a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier car. It's a Honda Accord. So the 2013 on up Honda Accord is what I can recommend. A little bit better transmissions, fuel efficiency for the size, getting a little bit heavier, still incredible, still reliable. The weakness is still going to be the transmission. They were very safe vehicles and easy to maintain, just like the Civic. A decent price to maintain, to keep those fluids changed and all the filters and your brake pads and everything else. Not crazy expensive like some of the other cars out there. You can make it a DIY project because they are easy to work on, and if you don't want to, all mechanics will work on them. Parts plentiful when you need them, and they hold their value. They're a great value purchase because they won't lose, their value won't drop off a cliff like some cars, Mercedes and BMWs and Land Rovers and Jaguars. So it's a safe buy is the best way to put it. Now the 03 to 08 Accord is a group that I wouldn't recommend because they did have some more documented transmission problems like a slip and a shudder in the transmission. That would be a $3,000 to $4,000 fix, and because of the problem, you know, you could be looking at a shortage. You might have to get in line to find one. You know, when high numbers of transmissions are going out, it's going to make sense that it's going to get harder and harder to find some to replace them. They also had brake issues, oil consumption issues, and also just cheap interior material quality. Okay, well, they really don't have a heavy, large sedan take, for instance, Mercedes S550 or something like that. So let's just move on to SUVs. When it comes to SUVs, I would go ahead and recommend the 08 to 2011 CR-V. This is lighter than the Pilot and lighter than the minivans that they have out, and excellent fuel mileage for the group. For an SUV, it has the best gas mileage. They are super reliable, and if there's going to be any weak point with the CR-V, it's going to be that transmission again. For a smaller SUV, in the inside, it feels a lot bigger than the car is. It's hard to make sense of that, but it's spacious for the small vehicle that it is. For an SUV, very reliable and safe. For an SUV, they have a reputation for being safe, and they hold their value as well. I see them at auctions with 250, 300,000 miles, and they're sitting in auction lots with that mileage, waiting for a new owner to put another 50 to 100,000 miles on them easily. And you just need to see if they're maintained, and then when you get them, keep up that maintenance, and they will treat you right. The 03 to 05 Honda Pilot is one that I wouldn't recommend because of the transmission slip and the serious transmission problems that they had. Now, I had a Pilot. It was a 2011. It was the newer generation, and that thing had almost 500,000 miles on it. I just recently sold it, but it treated me fine even with all that mileage. The maintenance was kept up on it, and that's why you could rack up that mileage with no really major problem like a $3,000 to $5,000 engine, and that transmission held in there. It was taken care of. It was driven correctly. It wasn't beat the crap out. Nobody beat the snot out of it. So you can rack up the miles, but the 03 to 05 was problematic. They also seem to have just the cheapest interior material, and also the fuel mileage was not impressive at all. So that's it for the SUV class. Now let's move on to the minivan class. They do sell minivans. I actually have one. It's a new purchase. I love it. It's been treating me right. The shop manager can hop up in there without putting stress on her joints and hips, and it's just plenty of room for her, and it's a great minivan. So the Honda Odyssey, and I would say the 2012 newer is what you want to look for and go for, not the older ones. The newer ones, they kind of straighten out that transmission problem. Now, the very first thing I did is I flushed the living crap out of mine and changed the external filter cartridge. So that should last me for years to come. Mine has 162,000 on, and I plan on putting another 162,000 on easily. Those 3-liter V6s will run forever. That's not the problem. That's also a year they went from the belts to the chains, so timing isn't an issue. Fuel mileage for a minivan is really, really good, and it has been for me so far. Great value. The second row seats, how you can slide them forward and back and then just lift them out, unclip them and lift them right out, and then fold the back seats down and make a ton of room behind you in a hurry very quickly has been impressive, and I really enjoy it so far. Let's move on to what I don't recommend, and that's 2012 or older. That's where they had serious transmission problems and serious sliding door problems. The cables would snap, and the cables would snap while it's going front or back, and then it would scratch the living S out of your paint job, get caught and rip things apart, and the motors were always wearing out to pull those cables and open and close the door, the switches, just lots and lots of problems, headlights glazing over and failing, paint that starts to peel, especially the lighter colors like white, and oxidized, and just a lot of problems that not worth your effort. Also, motor mounts and infotainment centers were often glitchy in the 2012 and older, so just stay away from them. All right, now they did have a sports car section, I guess if that's what you want to call them, and this is where I catch hell because I don't recommend either of them. The S2000 and the NSX. The NSX, next level for Honda, which was Acura, same damn thing. The Honda S2000 had problems with the convertible tops. All they were beefed up 3-liter V6s. The interior of the NSX never impressed me. The exterior was kind of neat looking, but never reminded me of like a sports car or a supercar or anything. The S2000 was kind of problematic with the convertible top problems and also rear diff problems that gave you a whining or a noise that just got worse and worse and worse. So I know I'll catch hell from that because there are a lot of fans of the S2000 and especially the NSX, super fans, but I don't like them, I don't recommend them. And again, this is just me. And I don't really see the NSX or the S2000 at auctions because those that have them cherish them that much, and I respect that they keep them. So that's going to do it for today's video. That covers the Honda models and different years. So I hope that helps. Even though it's, to me, the second most reliable vehicle, it does come with some quirks and especially some problems. And I just gave you a list to avoid and run like hell from and those to maybe consider. So I hope that helps, and I'll catch you in the next video.